Well, it's a real pleasure to be here in front of you talking today. I'm going to talk a little bit, as Roger said, about a company that three former Oberlin students and I started in 2004. But I thought I'd start by talking a little bit about my experience as a student here at Oberlin. One of the things that most appealed to me when I was a student about going into academia was that it seemed to operate on principles that were so distinct from the capitalist, consumerist culture that my peers and I were so critical of at the time. One of the key principles of academia seemed to be that you work hard for the love of work and you don't get paid very much, but that was okay with me. Another key principle seemed to me that you were judged by your intellectual skill and not by your salary or your material wealth. That also appealed to me. A third key aspect of academia seemed to be that your primary goals were to generate new ideas and to effectively convey those ideas to others. Quite honestly, I have to say I still find all three of those really appealing aspects of academia. But there's something that I learned along the way about academia, and that is that to be a good academic really means having a number of key entrepreneurial skills. One of these skills, we must take initiative and risk in developing new ideas. That's critical to what we do as academics. Second, in fact, we pitch our ideas to potential funders in order to support our research programs, not very different from being a salesman in many ways. Third, through the peer review publication process, our goal is essentially to sell our knowledge that we've created to our colleagues and to the public. So there's much in common between academics and what we traditionally think of as economic entrepreneurs. But there are some important differences as well. One of those is that most of us don't make a whole lot of money off the ideas that we distribute in the academic marketplace. A second key difference is that for most of us, the community or market that we actually reach with our ideas is fairly small. And it's the second aspect that I have found to be in some ways very frustrating about academics. I've published work in some fairly well-respected ecological journals, but I understand that, in fact, there are probably only a few hundred people reading those articles. And although they may be affected by those articles, my effect on the larger world is somewhat limited through this avenue I have for distributing my ideas within academics. As an environmentalist, I'm particularly frustrated by the fact that the scientific community knows so much about the enormous impacts that our resource use is having on the world, and yet it's so hard to effectively communicate that information to the general public and to politicians in a way that actually motivates change. We have an enormous amount of ideas. We've developed this market of ideas, and yet those ideas are not being implemented in the larger world.